Dhyan takes you into the deeper inner space by repeated habit, practice of observation of your mind creates a separation between your inner consciousness and the mind. Mind being limited, the inner consciousness being extremely widespread, expanded, infinite state. The thoughts are limited. And the inner consciousness being infinite, it spills into your day-to-day life also. The nature of consciousness is infinite. And then the difference between inner and outer world disappears. Just the way you look at the thoughts from your thoughtless state, the outside world objects also appear the same. Every object outside is represented in the form of thoughts within our mind. So mind is an instrument given to us to connect to this material world. So whether we close our eyes and look at the mind, or we open up the eyes and look at the world, it's the same thing. The consciousness that we have within us, even after opening the eyes, we maintain the same consciousness. Consciousness is like a mirror which reflects everything but does not accumulate anything, doesn't chase anything. Mind is like a camera. It keeps the picture with it, holds on to in its memory. Once a picture is taken, it remains stored in the mind's memory, and the mind brings it out whenever it's required. And we consider this process real because we have not seen the reality itself. All this drama of life that is happening, including the mind, requires a medium to play in. And that medium is the ultimate consciousness, which is infinite in every direction. And it contains all the objects of the universe. And the objects have a variable consciousness, variable amount of mind, variable sophistication of the camera at the mind level. Animals have primitive cameras. Our cameras have developed significantly. And the mind, being a camera, keeps on taking the pictures. And mind is part of the world. It is part of the material world. So naturally it feels connected with the world. Any person, object or situation comes, everything is recorded in the mind. And mind feels oneness with the material world. And naturally, because mind is nothing but an instrument, what mind does, it can be done by so many sophisticated scientific instruments. And all those things are utilized. The images have to be stored. The cameras have to be extremely high capacity. And then images become a burden. The capacity of the hard drive has to be increased. And when there is overflow, mind suffers. And that is stress. Because of the attachment of the mind, mind develops likes and dislikes. And with that likes and dislikes, it controls the body to go to the objects of pleasure and run away from objects that give you pain and suffering. So it's a mind and the body game, but one that observes all of this. Your inner consciousness is like a mirror. Mirror does not store any information. As soon as the person moves from the front of the mirror, mirror becomes blank. Mirror does not hold on to any images, let alone creating the bondages. To create a bondage, you have to hold on to the image. Consciousness provides a medium in which continuous process of interactions of matter can take place. But it itself remains free, remains untainted, unattached, without emotions, in total peace. Whether somebody is getting dressed in front of the mirror, becoming a bride, or somebody is putting the clothes to go to the funeral, it doesn't matter to the mirror. Mirror retains its clarity, and in that clarity, all the images come and go. The same mirror-like quality can be maintained in the outside world. When we go through an experience, we have to realize that any experience involves a subject, object, and the predicate. The subject is the person looking at another person and interpreting that person. The second person becomes the object. But the most important connection between the subject and the object, which involves your awareness, we never pay attention to it. We take it for granted. We never realize that if any object that is being seen by the subject, if the subject does not have consciousness, awareness, then the whole experience becomes meaningless. Person may be in coma, where the mind is not functioning, then the experience is not possible. If you look at a flower, as soon as we look at the flower, we start appreciating its beauty, its elegance, its color. The mind comes in the way. Immediately the mind takes over. Mind has gone out of our control. You look at something, as soon as we see the object, we start defining its utility. How useful that person is to me. If he has been very useful, if his thoughts and beliefs have been agreeing with us, we immediately like him, get excited. If we had disagreements, or the person belongs to different mentality or thoughts, we get upset. Mind is continuously present. We cannot see anything without the involvement of the mind. Mind has taken over. The only way it can be subdued is by practicing shunyata, nothingness, the nothingness of the mirror. When we look at an object, if we pay attention, say look at a flower, and think of the consciousness that has been responsible for creation of that flower, so many months of sun and the rain and the nourishment given by the soil and the wind bringing the bees, spreading the pollen, every single component, all the 5 elements have merged together to create this flower. And on the other hand, you who...
હું ટેપ કરું છું, ચૂપ રહે.